Hello and welcome everybody to the Odyssey Reckoning Update Show. It's crazy to think that it's already time for another Odyssey, but here we are. I'm Isaiah, your host for today. We've got an awesome show lined up for you guys. We've got tons of balance, some new skins. Of course, we're going to break down the new Odyssey for you guys. And with the new Odyssey comes a new Tier 5. We've got Tier 5 Hell, the grand reveal for that, towards the bottom of the show. Like I said, we've got a show that's ready for you guys. We got so much to go over. We're going to kick things off with balance. And to break things down with me, I've got my homies from the design team. I've got Clumsy and Ponfon here to start breaking things down with me. How you guys doing?
Good. Things are going well.
Doing all right.
Nice. Well,
Exciting
I
stuff.
don't know about you guys, but mid-season wrapped up, and we've kind of seen a little bit of how the meta is kind of fallen into place after the latest update, God of the Moon. So let's go ahead and get right into bonus balance because we've got actually a sizable amount to go over. So we'll kick it off with items. This bonus balance round is going live next week. And we'll start off with Ring of Hecate. And the first item up for this, Ring of Hecate, we're going to be decreasing the attack speed on the item, and we're also going to be decreasing the magical lifesteal.
Yeah, so I think you're going to see a couple of things that are going to be familiar to the community. ADC mages are going to be taking a little bit more of a hit. We've seen, Hecate still rising in dominance even with the last pair of nerfs. So we're going to do a couple of small tweaks here to the base stats, but you're going to be seeing a little bit more in tune with the ADC mages coming along next.
For sure. All right, let's move right along to another item nerf that's kind of in line with this Ring of Hecate nerf. You've got Typhon's Fang up next, and we're going to be decreasing the healing obtained from magical lifesteal from 40% down to 30%.
Yeah, Ring of Hecate and Typhon's Fang, those are items that are built together and synergize really well. They give a lot of the magical ADCs really high boxing capability, and so toning both them down at once is going to be a big hit to like the core build that we've been seeing, the high frustration build that we've been seeing.
All right, we've got one more item up for bonus balance, and this is kind of targeted towards some of our basic attack junglers here. Hasten Katana going to be seeing a nerf. We're going to be decreasing the attack speed on the item. We're also going to be decreasing the movement speed.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a lot of rise from the ADC mage as well as the attack damage assassins. We did some messing around with the jungle with the Golden Blade and Assassin's Blessing before, and we see in prominence that the attack damage assassins have definitely risen up. And again, with the ADC mages, we're going to see a couple of attack damage assassins as well, specifically gods, get some hits as well as this item for Hazen Katana. Just a little bit of a tweak.
For sure. All right, that wraps it up for items. Let's move right along to gods. And everybody watching, this is not an alphabetical order, but there's definitely a method to the madness. And we'll go ahead and kick it off with Tsukiyomi. Before I break down all the changes, Pon, how did Tsukiyomi kind of land when he released last patch?
Yeah, so we had a lot of interesting theories internally about where he'd fall. We knew that he was an assassin without mobility, but we knew that he also had high damage to kind of make up for that fact and some control tools in his kit. And so when we first got stats, he was actually doing pretty well. And then people very quickly learned all the intricacies and really dominated with him. He had really good stats across the board, and so now we're here with some pretty consistent nerfs across the board, focused mostly on affecting his base damage output and seeing where he falls after these kind of adjustments.
For sure. So the theme around this is just taking his damage down a little bit. And we're going to be seeing that with Dark Moon Shuriken, bringing down the scaling, Kusari Gamma, decreasing the damage on all 3 hits, as well as decreasing the disarm time. Silver Moon Caltrops, we're going to be decreasing the damage on that. And then finally, Piercing Moonlight, we're going to be decreasing the dash damage. So every single one of his abilities is going to be dealing a little bit less damage.
Yep. When he's played Pure Assassin, he does a lot of damage, but also when he was building Bruiser, he was doing quite a bit of damage. This base damage nerf will affect not only his early clear and early jungle capabilities, but also how effective his early ganks are, and then, of course, just how he scales into the late game. His scaling is still quite high on a lot of things, but we're going to watch that closely, see how these adjustments address him first, hitting some of the control that he also got as utility. And if we need further nerfs, maybe some more scaling-targeted nerfs, we can also do that in the future.
Most definitely. All right, let's move on and talk about some magical ADCs. We've got Oleron coming up first with the nerf here. Turn of Fate. We're going to be decreasing the bonus damage on Oleron's critical strikes from 60% to 50%, and I'll let Clumsy take it away here.
Yeah, this is a revert to a buff that we gave him previously. Oleron's been pretty interesting, where he's always been seen to be a very strong god, especially with that ultimate, and I think that's going to be a big point of discussion. But with the ADC mage items that have increase in power. We found some of the buffs that we gave him recently to be kind of unnecessary, and we want to bring him down without having to touch the ultimate, which is such a fine tuning dial that we want to be very careful of. We think with the item changes, with this revert, he should be in a much better spot. We don't think we'll see him, as highly prioritized in the SPL, and it'll probably be okay with this one.
For sure. All right. The next magical ADC we've got up next is Freya, and we're going to be making a change to Pulse here, decreasing the slow from 25% at all ranks, and that's going to be scaling up from 15% up to 25%. What's going on with Freya, Fawn?
So Freya's kind of complicated, right? She's like our character that we actually did like a full-on revert from at one point. So we want to be very careful on the actual balance number tunings that we do for her. In this case, we figured the items were the things that are mostly enabling her, and so we've toned them down. But it does seem that her early control, especially when Pulse lands and slows everyone, that allows her to follow up really heavily with a lot more damage. Reducing the slow, especially in the early ranks where you might prioritize your single target damage over this in some cases, will make for a meaningful choice and also make it so that enemies can actually box her more in the early game effectively.
For sure. All right, that wraps it up for magical ADCs and bonus balance. Let's talk about some basic attack assassins now. Bakasura is going to be up first, and we're making a change to Insatiable Hunger, decreasing the attack speed and movement speed per stack on that, and then also decreasing the slow duration on Regurgitate.
Yeah, so whenever we do jungle changes, Bakasura and the one coming up are always one of the gods that, just fluctuate really highly depending on what we do for them. The jungle got a little bit tankier, like we mentioned before, and Bakasura is one of the gods that can just clear the jungle extremely well with the Eat minion. We're doing small reverts on the Insatiable Hunger, and Regurgitate is something we want to touch specifically because we know there's a lot of frustration factor when it comes to that ultimate, and we didn't want to increase the CC immunity again he gained there, so we're going to try or decrease it. We want to play around with the slow as well, and we think this coupled with the Hasten Katana nerf should be pretty good to bring him in line.
All right, the next one up is specifically for Yupon. We're going to be making a nerf to Arachne here. We're going to be making a change to Venomous Bite, decreasing the damage per tick on that ability. So talk to me about Arachne, Pon.
Yeah, Arachne's really strong. She got some itemization that also really, really helped her out. And in the jungle changes, she's again a character that wildly fluctuates. She was on the uptick from that. So we were looking at a way to address her overall clear speed and her gank potential, and Venomous Bite with its base damage of 450, which is something that she could pop onto a target and they really had no answer to. So we're lowering the damage on that, lowering her lethality, and combined with other item adjustments that we have, this should put her into a good spot.
For sure. All right, we've got a few more gods left for this bonus balance round, and these next ones are going to be focused a little bit more on what we've kind of been seeing in the SPL, what's going on with the Pro League plays. So first up, we've got Persephone. We're going to be making a nerf to Harvest, the Sprout. We're going to be decreasing the magical power scaling damage and also decreasing the slow on the ability.
Paul, do you want to go ahead and take this one?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, Harvest is one of those abilities that has a lot of different skill potential at different skill levels. At the very top end, Sprout, the one that explodes, is actually the most commonly used because players know how to juke around the kind of targeted plant. So you see a lot of skillful usage of this ability, but it is a very consistent, very easy to confirm, hard to play around type of ability when she has her whole field out. And so Harvest being reduced on both the damage output scaling and the slow will make her less safe, let her deal less damage, especially in like the late game, and should take a little bit of the edge off, allowing other mages to really kind of come into the slot and compete with her for picks and bans.
For sure. All right, next up we've got Amaterasu, another highly contested pick so far in this phase. We're going to be making a change to Heavenly Reflection, decreasing the damage on the ability from 70 to 210. That's going down to 70 to 190.
Yeah, and that's going to be specifically a change catered towards the late game. Amaterasu's early game, we've seen, fluctuate a little bit. We think she's in a really good spot with that mirror damage so that with whether it's casuals or the SPL, she can now compete in the early game where before it might have been a little bit harder. And to the late game where that damage does go pretty high, the multiplier on the nerf that we're doing here is also going to affect the full damage of the mirror, and that should hit even more heavily into the late game. So I think just the small changes here will help make sure Amaterasu is not too overwhelming.
All right, next up, we've got Cthulhu here. Descend into Madness, the ultimate ability. We're making a change here. We're going to be decreasing the duration that he is in his form from 12 to 16 seconds, and that's going down to 10 seconds to 14 seconds. So minus 2 seconds at all ranks there.
Yeah, if you've ever been in the dual lane or the soul lane, and Cthulhu hits level 5 and gets to just kind of wail on you for a while, the extra 2 seconds off means that he's going to be losing out on like a claw or two, maybe an extra of the knock-up ability. And so this is just going to take some of that edge off the ultimate, make it so enemies have a bit more counterplay around it, lower time dealing with the effects of this kind of descendant to madness.
Yeah. All right. And we've got one more Guardian left up for bonus balance. Our last god here that we're changing next week is Umoja. We're going to be making a change to Bouncing Bubble, decreasing the damage, and also decreasing the slow duration for when it hits an enemy.
Yeah, so Umoja is also an interesting one. Obviously, her not having mana really affects the way she starts playing the game, and we talked to a lot of different pro players and casual players. She's actually not doing that well in the casual scene, like at all. I believe she's sub 50 by a pretty good margin. But in the SPL, she's pretty much 100% pick ban, and that's where we have to be very careful. We expect those nerfs to be, pretty big hit to casuals, but I think that they've been kind of vocal recently, in the past few months to make sure that she is still pretty strong. The decreased damage we think is going to hit the SPL pretty heavily, the competitive players, where she's not going to be able to clear waves with the Hunter, just like, at level 1 and 2, where she has access to so many abilities. So these are going to be some pretty big damage nerfs, as well as the slow to help, those competitive players set up for the next abilities and their partners. So hopefully this will be okay, and the casual players won't suffer too much from it.
For sure. We'll see where she lands next week when these nerfs go live. So that wraps it up for bonus balance that's going live next week. But we also got a few skins that we want to show off that are going to become available next Tuesday. We'll start it off with the New Moon event. That's the event that's going on right now. We've got a ton of bundles, ton of awesome skins. And the final bundle in the New Moon event is going to be going live next week. And the first skin that we kind of want to highlight from bundle 4 of the event is Shadow Weaver Neath. And I believe we've got the card art ready that we'll show off. And this one's looking super sick. What do you think about it, guys?
All the skins in like this theme are just so cool. Every single one has they're very similar, but then they have their own take and flavor that just is so cool.
Also, what is this creature in the back of that card art? That was terrifying.
I know.
Yeah, it's not even like a horror game.
I definitely love these. And I believe we've got a voice pack line ready for you guys. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
Pretty things here. I will weave such a pattern for you.
That's awesome. Definitely going to be one that I'm looking forward to. Shadow Weaver Neath, another skin in our kind of Shadow Spirits line coming up in Bundle 4 of New Moon. And the other skin that's coming up in Bundle 4 of the New Moon event is Unbroken Osiris. And this one is super crucial in that torture thing. Look at that helmet. Clumsy, what do you think about this one?
I love just looking at the different armor pieces. You kind of, whether it's the card art or in game, you can see something new each time. It's really ornate, and I think that's really intricate and interesting.
Definitely. And as we go into into the turnaround video and take a look at the model, you guys will definitely see some of the more details on the weapons and stuff. And I definitely don't want to go against that guy in lane.
That's scary.
I wonder what he's going to look like when he's all fragmented up.
I know, right? Let's go ahead and take a listen to that scary voice back that he's got.
Come, embrace the pain.
He is definitely ready to box in solo lane. Like I said, I do not want to go up against him. But that wraps it up for the New Moon event. That's the final bundle that's going to be available in the event. And I just want to take a moment to remind you guys that if you guys get all 4 bundles in the New Moon event, you'll be able to unlock that unlimited Angelic Archon Umoja that we revealed on the last update show. It's a super sick skin. The effects on it are really cool. If you guys missed out, I know there was a lot of feedback on the initial model. We made some changes to that. It definitely looks super awesome in game. Shout outs to the art team for being able to bring that out to you guys. So next up, we've got the Dreamweaver chest that is coming out for you guys. And the skin in this chest is going to be Dreamweaver Ganesh. And this one is, I didn't know how to feel about it at first. It's kind of like, I don't know if is he supposed to scare me or is he supposed to be peaceful? But he's definitely from an otherworldly plane. What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, this is it's a very interesting take on forest kind of guardian spirit type creature. It's really hard to place him, but man, I love the different takes on everything with Ganesh.
Definitely.
That dagger is
the pink
cool.
and teal look really cool, and I love the weapons that he's got.
Yeah, the color scheme is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack for Dreamweaver Ganesh.
Through peace we will bring balance. Through balance we achieve victory.
So he doesn't
he's probably
seem super spooky there. I think he's friendly there. All right, so the last skin that we've got coming up in the bonus update for you guys is Interstellar Oleron. And I got to give a shout out to my man Kalani, who works on the team. The concept on this looks absolutely
Was this a
amazing.
Kalani concept? Hell yeah.
Yeah, this is a Kalani concept, and definitely want to give a shout out. Futuristic astronaut looks so dope.
And it looks pretty
the
awesome.
pattern on the helmet.
Yep. The helmet and tail kind of pattern. You can see it. Yep.
This one turned out super sick. I love the way that the helmet is not a traditional astronaut helmet. It's kind of super futuristic and pushes that sci-fi narrative. And this one's got a little bit of a backstory to it, and you guys might be able to figure out what's going on once we take a listen to the voice pack here.
Allow me to enlighten you.
So he's definitely got some ulterior motives there going on. That's kind of a little Easter egg for you guys. Once you hop into PCS, listen to some of those voice pack lines and see if you guys can come up with a story there. This one turned out really awesome. That wraps it up for the bonus update that's coming up for you guys next week, next Tuesday. Be on the lookout for Smite Game on release information for that. But we've also got some community news that we want to go over with you guys. If you guys haven't heard, been living under a rock, we've got the Avatar: The Last Airbender Battle Pass with some amazing skins, and we definitely want to help you guys get through that prestige track. So this weekend, you'll be able to get 2 times battle points on every game played once you play the games this weekend. Pond Clumsy, how far are you guys in your battle pass?
I'm actually pretty sure I'm completed. I got it all.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I mean,
playing those games.
Under the pressure, I'm absolutely pressing the button to get everything because I want it all right now. That's
For
no
sure.
playing around with that.
Speaking of wanting it all right now, Dolson, I've been watching SPL, and Dolson just makes me want a Maxnomic Smite chair so bad. So we definitely want to get you guys in the know on that one. We've got partnered with Maxnomic on an official Smite chair, and if you order that chair, you'll actually get an exclusive ward in game of the chair that you can place down. And I've seen it in game. It's super meta. So if you guys want to pick up that chair, you'll also be emailed the code for award in game. That way you can flex that you're sitting on the throne of the gods in your official Smite Maxnomic chair.
You can play some with 3 unconfirmed wards.
I know, right? Next up, we've got an event that we want to let you guys know that's happening tomorrow right here on Twitch, on Smite Game. Titan Cupcake from the community team is actually putting on a charity stream to benefit One Up on Cancer called Sprinkle of Hope. It's going to be a lot of fun. You guys can see we've got 2 time slots that are going on from 10 to 2 and then again from 4 to 8. We're going to be hanging out, playing some games, running some Smite the Devs, hopefully not giving away some titles, but it's all in the name of charity and it's benefiting One Up on Cancer. So definitely give a shout out to Titan Cupcake on that one. She's been leading this one, and we're super excited for this charity event. Powder Clones, are you guys playing it tomorrow in the charity event, or are you guys just going to be watching?
Just going to be watching. I have a lot of stuff I got to take care of tomorrow, unfortunately. But maybe sometime I can deny some titles from some people.
Speaking of watching on Twitch, we've got the SPL that's coming up this weekend. Like I said, phase 2 of the season has rolled off in full steam. Tons of awesome matches, a lot of upsets. Everybody's getting some wins. So if you guys want to tune in, we've got SPL starting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 3 p.m. ET. This is the match schedule for this weekend. I'm definitely looking at the Friday match, Ghost versus Radiance. It's going to be an amazing matchup to see. All right, so I think that wraps it up for community news. You guys ready to kind of head out and start talking about the major update 7.9 that's coming out in September?
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff in it.
Let's kick it off with some quality of life stuff. We've got a couple notes here. The mastery icon for 110 Gods Master. We're finally getting that into the game. We've seen a lot of people asking about it on social media, so you guys will be able to equip that avatar when this update goes live. And we also fixed an issue to where not all players were able to equip their past mastery avatars. So if you mastered like 100 gods, like if you level it up, you wouldn't be able to equip that avatar. So you'll be able to flex your masteries no matter how many that you have coming up in the next update. And then we've got one more, and I'll kind of throw it to Pawn after I explain it. We're going to be allowing for in-combat pauses in ranked if we've got if the team has a player that's been disconnected. Pawn, talk to me a little bit about this change here.
Yeah, so we have pausing, and generally it cares about whether you're in a combat or not, so people can abuse it for combat situations. But if a player is disconnected, that's generally a case where, no, we should really try and pause right now. Teams have to sacrifice quite a bit to get out of combat. Just let them pause, let the person reconnect. Just a nice quality of life improvement for players playing ranked. Outside of disconnects, it also functions exactly as it has.
Cool, for sure. All right, let's get right into balance here. And we're going to kick it off with Conquest. The Centaur ability rework in the jungle. This is the speed buff. We're going to be doing a rework to his ability. We renamed the ability to Charge Thrust, and the buff holder is now going to be doing a charge as its 4th attack. And we're going to be decreasing the range and decreasing the ability windup on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some feedback around that when you're trying to pull the camp out to the edge of the area, you'd often stop and do this attack, so we put it further in the chain. The range is a little bit shorter, but it's a little bit faster. Often it was very easy to juke for junglers who were trying to juke it, and so it's going to be a little bit more challenging. Just reduce some of the frustration around fighting it, as well as make it a bit more challenging to fight directly.
Cool. All right, let's move on right into items. And right at the top, we've got a couple of interesting items that are getting some pretty significant changes, like almost rework level changes here to a couple items. Let's start off with Serrated Edge. We're going to be doing a shift here, increasing the cost, decreasing the physical power, but adjusting the passive. For every non-ultimate ability on cooldown, you gain a stack of Cruelty. Each stack provides 10 basic attack power and 3% lifesteal. Who wants to talk to me about Serrated Edge?
I can take a stab at this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So Serrated Edge is kind of the assassin 20% pen item. It has a very unique passive caring about ability cooldowns, but it required all 3 to be on cooldown, which made it very limited on what gods could do. Some of them are can't really utilize it that effectively. Some have a very hard time or have very low cooldowns, so it's very hard to keep uptime on this. And so it made only certain gods really able to use this. So we're making it a bit more usable overall. Now it'll just care if you have a ability on cooldown, you get a stack, so you can get a maximum of 3 stacks. Which means other assassins can now use this. But because now it's just universally stronger, you're going to have more uptime on this type of buff. We had to do some adjustments to its item stat cost, its power, as well as the amount of stats provided. So it's a weaker item overall when it's fully online and fully functional, but you also have that extra flexibility now where you can use it. So this should put it into a more usable spot, make it not so just basically only Arachne was the character that was using this.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see what other kind of junglers pick this up after the changes that go live. Next up, for another item that's getting a pretty significant shift, you've got Hide of the Nemean Lion, and we're making a change to the passive. The new passive is going to be every 15 seconds, you gain a block stack for every 100 total protections from items that you have, preventing the next basic attack from damaging you, and the stack lasts, it can only stack up to 3 times.
Yeah, so we think this is, the Reflect change going to block stacks has been really popular amongst a lot of the users. SMITE players have definitely been talking about it. But the problem with the Nemean Line in its previous iteration, or its current one, is that a lot more people than we intended were picking it up. We were seeing it in a variety of cases. Assassins were picking it up while diving on the hunters, or mages were picking it up to kind of deny the assassins from jumping onto them. We wanted this to be somewhat more useful for the tankier characters, the warriors and guardians to pick this up, and in order to do so, we kind of tied it to the total protections you get, and like you said, from items specifically. So that means if you just have this, actually you're going to be needing another item to drive you over that 100 total protections mark from items to gain your first block stack. And we think this, going up to 3 stacks now, will really help push it in the right direction.
Yep, the tankier you are, the better it is.
Yep.
Exactly. So build those protections to get those block stacks. Speaking of blocking some basic attacks, let's talk about some bows that are getting some buffs here. We'll kick it off with Charged Bow, and we're going to be, it now has bonus damage that's 30% of your physical scaling here. What's going on with the bows?
Yep. So in the OD bow has a scaling component to it, but the tier 2 version of it does not, which meant the tier 2 item felt very underwhelming. If you were building into it, it was really just a not useful item until you actually got it all the way upgraded to Odysseus's bow. So we're giving it some scaling, so building into that kind of build path is a bit more easy. You can back and buy this and feel pretty good about it rather than upgrading straight directly to Odysseus's bow.
All right, next up we've got Ichabod, and that's an item I feel like I haven't said in a long time. We're going to be increasing the buff and debuff duration from 3 to 5 seconds, and then we're also making a fix, adjusting some text here. to this and Ring of Hecate to better match the wording for the same effects that they provide.
Yeah, so the strength of Ring of Hecate definitely brought the comparative question to the Hunter item that's very similar, which is Ichaival. We know a lot of people wanted to see some crazy buffs to Ichaival instead of just nerfing Ring of Hecate. We didn't think adding lifesteal to Ichaival was probably the right route, so we decided to go for some small nerfs for Ring of Hecate. And then we noticed that Ichaival had a 3-second buff time while Hecate had 5. We decided to bring that in line to at least give you the same kind of boxing potential for the same duration.
Cool. All right, let's move on to some mage items now. Karan's coin up first. We're going to be decreasing the cost on the item, adding 7 HP 5, and then for the evolved version, we're going to be increasing the HP 5 and the NP 5 on the item.
Yeah, at this point we have a lot of data on like usage rate and how good these magical pen items are. And Karen's coin, which was really picked up at the start, has fallen out of favor. People really aren't utilizing it anymore. Overall, it was just underwhelming. So we're reducing its cost to make it easier to build into and giving it a little bit of extra flavor. It now has a little bit of HP 5 to start out to give you some extra sustain, and the evolved form actually gets more intense. So evolving it is more worthwhile.
Definitely. This was one of my favorite items when the season launched, so I'm excited to start picking it back up again.
One goal every time.
There we go. We've got Doom Orb up next. We're going to be decreasing the cost from 3,000 down to 2,850.
Yeah, Doom Orb as well as one of those items that we did a lot of changes to, and while it's still pretty strong, we think the cost is pretty prohibitive, so we're going to be decreasing the cost slightly and go from there. We think it's going to be pretty good in this iteration.
All right, we got one more mage item up next. We've got Warlock Staff. We're going to be decreasing the cost on the item and then making a change to Sorcerer's Staff, the tier 2. We're going to be adding some magical power to it from 30 up to 45.
Yep, so you can see the theme here, a lot of underutilized mage items, just bringing them up so that they're a bit more competitive, increase the item pool that mages have to use. Warlock Staff was underwhelming, we're decreasing the cost to make it easier to build into, and then the Sorcerer Staff, building just the tier 2 of it felt really bad compared to other starter routes that you could go, so making it stronger so it competes with other kind of choices that you could make.
All right, let's move on and talk about some Tank and Guardian items, and this one, I feel like I definitely haven't said this item in a long time, Bulwarker of Hope. We're going to be increasing the percent HP threshold where the shield triggers from 30% up to 40%.
Yeah, so this should mean that Bulwark of Hope's trigger will happen a little bit more often. We looked at it, had a look at its stats and costs. We think it's generally in a pretty good spot. This change will help it bring it a little bit more prevalent, especially in a meta now where there's a lot more shield counters. So let's see how that one goes.
Cool. All right, next up we've got Heartward Amulet. We're going to be increasing the magical protections provided for by the aura up to from 15%, 15 to 20, not percent. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so before we kind of move on to this change, it's worth noting that the rest of these are kind of tankier items, either for actual pure guardians or bruiser kind of tanky warriors. And there's one I'm not on here, which is the Sledge. I know a lot of people are building Sledge a lot, probably expect it to be a little bit too strong and expect kind of a nerf for it, but we're not doing that right now. We think that warriors actually kind of rely on its core strength. So rather than adjust it right now, we want to bring up other options so that there's more opportunities for warriors to build different things. And then we can look at Sledge adjustments just to make sure that warriors aren't just being taken down too early, give them some more options, and then address Sledge more directly. So Heartwood Amulet on that list, it just felt underwhelming compared to Sovereignty. So giving it more ally protection just helps it out overall.
Cool. All right, let's talk about some anti-heal now. We've got Pestilence, and I'll kind of lump these two together. Pestilence and Contagion, we're going to be increasing the health on both the items by 50. Pestilence is 200 to 250. Contagion is 100 to 150.
Yeah, we did a lot of passes on the anti-heal items previously for the offensive ones to make sure that it didn't really feel bad to pick up the items, right? So the Divine Ruin, Brawl, Beatsick, you actually don't mind picking up. They're pretty decent, but Pestilence and Contagion never really quite felt that way. They're okay, but we think with this 50 health boost, you'll actually feel like you definitely kind of want to pick this up and feel favorable for it.
Yeah. All right, last up for items, we've got Mystical Mail, a fun one. We're going to be decreasing the cost from 2450 down to 2350.
Yeah, we did adjustments similar to this before, making it easier to build into. We're just taking that a step further after we saw that some people experimented with it, but it overall fell out. It probably needs to be brought down a little bit more. So we'll see where that kind of fits into warrior builds after this kind of change.
All right, let's move right along into gods. And I believe these might be in alphabetical order, but don't hold me to it, chat. We're going to start with Artemis. First up, Vengeful Assault. This ability will now additionally let Artemis cleanse herself of slows, and she will become immune to slows for 0.6 seconds when the ability is activated.
So Pod alluded to this earlier. There's definitely some spicy stuff in some of these god changes. We wanted to go through and take this time in between god patches to look at a couple of gods who we think could use a little bit of extra flavor, a little bit of extra love. Artemis has seen some great days. She's seen some poor days, but we wanted to help her with one of her weak points. She doesn't really have mobility or an escape option. By giving Vengeful Assault this slow cleansing effect that we usually have seen in Kukulkan, we think she'll be able to get a little out of trickier situations without having to necessarily use her ultimate. So hopefully this goes over pretty well.
Yeah, this is definitely a spicy one. I'm looking forward to seeing how the community receives it. Next up, we've got Baba Yaga. We're going to be making a buff to her here. Baba's Brew, we're going to be decreasing the cooldown, and it's going to be 14 seconds at all ranks.
Yep, she's probably getting pretty close to the point where like she's in a really, really good spot. Some people really think she's already good. Some think she's really underwhelming still. Baba's Brew, the 16-second cooldown at the earlier ranks, made it very prohibitive to brew potions. You couldn't really utilize the cool flavor of your kit, and it also hurt her early game and mid game clear significantly for not having those on a lower cooldown. So just reducing the cooldown to 14 seconds at all ranks will help her out, kind of smooth out her gameplay experience.
For sure. Next up, we've got Chalk, going to be making a change to Thunderstrike, increasing the physical power scaling by 10%.
Yeah, I mean, Chalk is a little bit of a jack of all trades, right? He's got a really good laning phase. I think everyone who isn't comfortable in solo lane will pick up Chalk and still do pretty well. But he kind of transitions to that late game and only has that team-wide, ulti, the big silence hitting. But other than that, he doesn't do as much. We wanted to give him a little bit more love, a little bit more power, so those Thunder Strikes are now going to be hitting a little bit harder. We've seen 10% scaling changes do a really good job for a lot of warriors, and we think it'll help Chalk out a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Next up, we've got Chang'e. We're going to be making some changes to her base stats here, increasing her base HP and her HP scaling per level.
Yeah, Chang'e is a very squishy mage. She tries to rely on her evasion, but because she has to stay in melee range for so long, her evasion can only help her out so much. We're going to give her some tankier stats so she can actually play that kind of like bruiser mage role a bit more directly. She doesn't have as much HP or scaling per level as someone like Hades or Zhongqi. Those are like the actual pure tank kind of mages, but a little bit of extra help there will make sure that she can actually stay in the middle of the fight. Should help bring her up. Maybe we'll see some play from Chang'e, where she's kind of been on the lower end of play for quite some time.
Right. All right. Speaking of somebody that's been kind of on the lower end, hasn't really been seeing a whole lot of pickup, we've got Guan Yu. We're going to be doing a buff to Tallow Assault, increasing the damage per tick from 15 to 55. That's going up to 20 to scaling up to 60.
Yeah, we wanted to be very careful with the Guan Yu changes. We've seen it be pretty strong. We did a lot of changes with passive. Tallow Assault on paper does a lot of damage, but it's also got a short range and it's not really the easiest to use. The long channel time for its damage means it's also pretty easily interruptible. So by increasing the damage just a little bit, we think that the effectiveness you'll be getting out of it in lane will be a lot higher. So hopefully that's the case for you guys.
Definitely. All right, and I heard this one in the balance meeting, and I'm pretty excited about it. We've got Geb up next, making a change to Shockwave here, and we're going to be increasing the fall-off damage from 50% to 70% of the base damage of the ability. And it's kind of confusing, but I'll let Pod kind of explain what's going on.
Yeah, so in melee range Shockwave, it does full damage, and at max range, it does about 50%. We're bringing that 50% to 70%. So max range will be doing more. We've seen Geb be this kind of like pretty consistent support pick, but even in metas that we would expect him to do well, such as the crit meta, where his passive has like a lot of potential payoff, he wasn't really being picked and has been falling out of favor compared to other supports. And we feel like his overall toolkit is pretty strong, but the early laning phase and the mid game kind of limit what he can do. So we're bringing that up to make sure that Geb has an opportunity to kind of roll in matches.
Cool. All right, next up, we've got Nemesis, who's seen a huge rise in popularity here over the past couple weeks, making a nerf to Slice and Dice here, decreasing the damage from 50 to 170 down to 45 to 165.
Yeah, we've played around with the Slice and Dice numbers quite a bit because, Nemesis kind of dies by this ability quite severely. It's her primary jungle clear, a really heavy DPS in fights as well. So this is a half revert from the buff that we gave her before. To make sure that she still stays competitive. We think this plus the jungle changes we've done previously should help out. And the SPL on a competitive level, she's still used a lot, so we want to be careful of that. We also want to be careful because we know that she's a pretty valid and valuable counter to Cthulhu as well, which is one of the reasons why we're assuming her play count has increased the way it has. So we think this should be all right.
All right, we're moving right along here. We've got Ra up next. going to be making a change to Celestial Beam, increasing the magical power scaling, and then Divine Light. Additionally, now this ability is going to cleanse Ra of slows, and he's going to be immune to slows for 0.6 seconds. So kind of like Artemis.
Yeah, you thought Artemis was the only one. We're actually doing it to Ra as well. He's another character that doesn't really have a great way to be mobile. He also has to kind of get close and stay around like mid-range of fights to make sure he can land Celestial Beams, use Divine Light, and have heals for his team where they have to kind of group up. So Divine Light cleansing slows is going to help him, give him just that extra tool to survive some situations he wouldn't otherwise survive. And Celestial Beam getting the magical power scaling increase. This is a relatively hard to confirm ability. It's very well telegraphed, has a travel time, and so this makes it more rewarding when you do land that skill shot.
All right, moving right along. Next up, we got Zeus, and this is another fun one for this update. For base stats here, we're going to be increasing Zeus's base attack speed from 0.87 up to 0.95. And Pawn, I'll let you kind of explain kind of what's going on with this one and how this will impact Zeus.
Yep. So the base attack speed is one of the most important stats for like any in-hander. It affects how any percent increase works. So 10% now will actually give you 0.095 instead of 0.087. And he also starts with just more attack speed. So he's actually going to be throwing out his lightning bolts more often. He'll get extra synergy with his passive. He'll get extra synergy with the Aegis that he throws out. So just a nice quality of life buff for Zeus will help him clear a little bit better in Conquest, especially early on, and get that little extra bit out of his passive.
Awesome. I hear aggro cheering and celebration from the distance. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We've got two more changes here for God Balance, and there are actually a couple of reverts from past nerfs that we've done. First one is going to be for Odin and Gungnir's Might. We're going to be decreasing the cooldown from 14 seconds back down to 12 seconds.
Yeah, so when Odin got his ability change, he rose in popularity quite a bit, and then similarly to Isis, we just hit him with everything we got back to back on several different patches. We went through and basically I think all the cooldowns on his abilities have increased, and we chose one of them now to revert, because I think you guys have probably noticed in game, you don't see much Odin anymore after all the changes. So with this revert, we think we're going to help bring him back to a safe spot.
Cool. All right, and then last up for God changes, we've got Hoon Bats. Making a change to Fear No Evil, the ultimate. We're going to be decreasing the cooldown, and that's going to scale up from 110 to 90 instead of being 120 seconds at all ranks.
Yep, people definitely recognize Hoonbots' ultimate is definitely like one of the strongest portions of the kit and is a really great teamfight ultimate. But when we change it to 120 seconds at all ranks, we saw Hoonbots go from being played pretty consistently to just falling off almost completely. We've seen a little bit of experimentation still, but not much success. And so we're going to revert this, especially with all the changes we've done to the jungle, what junglers are viable, how items have like shaked up. We feel like he can go back to 120 sec or to the scaling down. And then we're going to look at potentially other places to nerf him if we do actually need to.
All right, that wraps it up for God Balance. We got through it, guys. There was a lot to go over, but we did it. Let's start talking about some skins. We've got an all-new Battle Pass that's coming out in the Odyssey Reckoning update that's coming out towards September. And this one is called Necropolis. And this is a new thing that we're kind of taking on. Necropolis is kind of an old, forgotten, forsaken land with its own sets of kingdoms and rules. But everything is a little bit more on the creepy side, as you guys will see as we start going through these skins. The first skin that we want to show off here is for Isis. And it's called Razor's Edge. And this one is definitely awesome. It's got some green hints. She's wearing the mask, staying safe.
That mask is cool.
Super dope.
That's cool.
What do you guys think?
I mean, that's just me. I love the staff.
Yeah, the staff is cool. Just looking at like the creepy skull like mask at the bottom with the like the jaws hollowed out, I think that immediately drew my eye.
I know, right? I love the green energy, and I'm definitely loving the treatment on the wings, how they're kind of like metal there. But I wonder how she sounds wearing that mask. So let's take a listen to the voice back here.
Long have I wandered this plain, searching for someone to torture.
That's Razor's Edge Isis, and I believe this is going to be the first skin in the Battle Pass. So when you pick it up, this is the first skin that you'll be able to unlock. And I'm definitely looking forward to that one. But I'm also looking forward to the next skin that we want to show off, because it is Infernal Omen Tsukiyomi. And it is Tsukiyomi's first skin. That's actually a real quick turnaround on that. What do you guys think about this one?
I mean, I love the two weapons that we have for him where they are kind of opposing, because the art team gets to just do so much cool stuff with it.
Yeah.
I know, right?
It's so awesome.
So cool.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the model here. I want to see how those weapons look. Nice. Love the treatment. I definitely love the taste of having one weapon a lighter color and then another one that's being darker here.
Crimson Edge
Let's
blade.
go. I know, right? Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack here.
My blades thirst for your blood.
And he wasn't edgy enough.
I know, right? So this is Tsukiyomi's first skin. So we actually want to take a little bit of time and show him off to you in game. So I believe Pawn is our driver for today, and production is going to get us right into game, so we can kind of show off some of the abilities that and how things are going to look once you unlock the skin in the battle pass. So Pawn, take us through and let's look at what he's got going on here. Basics look so clean.
Ooh.
Love the dark. The red and black is classic.
And the color scheme is just really good on him.
I love how like it's got like the dark trails. You got the bright red, but still like the dark trails of black. Oh, those caltrops are definitely creepy.
Yeah.
I do not want to step on those. All right. Oh, nice. Got some dark light here.
Lots of really cool effects.
I know, right? Tons of cool effects. The art team definitely killed it on that one. That's the second skin in the battle pass. We're done in game here. We got a lot to cover, so we got to get through it. The next skin from the battle pass that we want to show off is actually our battle pass recolor for this one, and it's actually going to be Sinister Sentinel Athena, and this one is a recolor of a past Athena skin. I believe it's called Blight Guardian is what came out here. And I love, I believe Light Guardian was kind of darker. This one's got more of a brownish, reddish tone here. What do you think of this one, Clumsy?
That's cool. I mean, I like seeing these recolors in the sense that you don't almost realize that it's a recolor, right? Like, I mean, I saw this and I didn't actually assume that already because it's a completely different palette that we went with.
Yeah, the first time I saw it in game, I just didn't recognize it.
I know, this one's super awesome. I believe we've got a turnaround ready, so we'll be able to see a little bit more how it looks in game. Yeah, the browns and the red hair and the little hints of green definitely are catching my attention here. I'm super excited to check this one out. This one is a recolor, so no new voice pack here, but you guys will be able to get this one. It is on the free track of the Necropolis Battle Pass. So as long as you're playing, getting those battle points, you'll be able to unlock the skin as you progress through the track. Cool. And we've got one more Battle Pass skin that we want to show off to you guys. Infernal Father Odin. And this one, he is the king of Necropolis. He is kind of the high-ranking Inquisitor. And I just love the aesthetic here. Pawn, you're my kind of RPG guy. What does this remind you of?
I mean, like, this is, like, the final boss of, like, the, like, Holy Order, like, evil group that, like, uses light for bad. Look at that hammer in the background. Is he actually going to be just swinging a hammer?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I definitely want to.
Oh yeah,
it's a hammer.
Weapon looks sick, dude. And those shoulder pads are so spiky. Oh, this one looks so cool.
Yeah, I want his armor set.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know, right? Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack as we wrap it up for this section.
Your judge, your jury, your executioner.
Yep, that sounds about right. Well, that wraps it up for the Necropolis Battle Pass section. We're definitely super excited for this new theme to get it in you guys' hands when the Odyssey Reckoning update goes live. But we just reviewed our next Battle Pass. That means that the one that's live in game is going away soon. We've got the Avatar: The Last Airbender Battle Pass that's available now. Like I said earlier, if you guys still haven't had a chance to check it out to see the awesome content that's going on, we've got a really cool video to show to you guys. We'll be right back after the break to go over the Odyssey.
This world is in trouble.
We can't let this happen. They need our help.
yet to see the meaning of cruel.
Let the heavens rage!
Welcome back, everybody. It is time to get into the Odyssey Reckoning, our final big event for the end of the year here. And this event is going to be absolutely huge. We've got a lot to talk about here. So I had to bring out the big guns for this section here. Going over the Odyssey with me today, I've got AJ and I've got Tina here on the show. How you guys doing?
Hey, Isaiah. It's good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I know. It's been like forever since I've even like seen you in person or talked to you, Tina. It's an absolute pleasure to have you.
I was enjoying my break, but I'm happy to come back and chit-chat about some cool Smite stuff.
Oh, the Odyssey is going to be super dope. But before we get into the Odyssey, Tina, the Odyssey is all about like voyaging and exploration, but every Voyager must have their log, right? So we've got another event that's coming out alongside the Odyssey called Voyager's Log. Tina, what's going to be happening with this Voyager's Log event?
So the Voyager's Log event is very similar to our previous birthday calendar event, and what it is basically you come into the event, and every day that you come in and you play a game, just play one game, you will receive the reward for that day. So, and then it lasts 15 days. So if you come in every day for 15 days, you'll get all the rewards. Also, if you claim 6 days in any order, so just 6 days in total, you can receive the Voyager player title, which is also pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah, this works
awesome.
a lot like our community event from last year, or earlier this year. So
Yeah.
This is a format everyone should expect, and everything is totally free. Just stop by and play some games when the patch drops, and you'll get some cool free stuff.
For sure. TLDR, log in, play a game, get free stuff for 15 days. It's super simple. Lots of awesome stuff that's going along alongside the Odyssey Reckoning, which is our grandiose, really big, super special event. And I know, Tina, you've been doing a lot of work getting this event ready, so I'll kind of let you take it off and give me just a brief little overview of what's going on with the Odyssey, just like a kind of one-liner, just to kind of before we dive deep into it.
Okay, so for this year's Odyssey, we've kind of like come up with some new design changes to it. So we've added like a grand map to the Odyssey where you can explore like new cultures and unexplored lands, and while also battling the corruption that is Cthulhu, who's still like dominant over this world. And you basically do quests and get rewards for doing the quests on these new voyages that you get to go on. Yeah, if we have a picture, you can see it better.
Yeah, we wanted to bring back some of the Odyssey's roots. The event is, specifically a way for players to get a bunch of cool god skins for a bunch of their favorite gods, and we wanted to keep a lot of the format the same, the things that our players really look forward to. But we wanted to have more theming to it, more gameplay to it. So Tina spent a lot of time working with the UI team and the design team to come up with this really interesting whole map to explore. And this is so much deeper than a lot of the maps kind of presentations we've done in the old Odysseys, where you would just kind of see a bunch of the items or things just spread out on a map. This one is actually very interactive. Players will get to choose which different types of regions. All of the regions are themed around our existing pantheons. They have all sorts of cool tie-ins to lore and gods in the game. And you'll get to choose how you want to explore those for your quests. And you'll also be able to choose which rewards you want to go after, of course, because that's that would be a big influence around which regions you choose to explore and which quests you want to do. Is you can preview which rewards you'll learn, and you can pick accordingly.
Yeah, for sure. I think the big thing is we heard a lot of feedback how the Odyssey didn't feel as immersive and it just felt like another buy-through event. So we really, took some extra time to make it really engaging, lots of stuff for you guys to do, quests to complete, and also lots of new ways to earn Odyssey points and progress through the event rather than just buying content. So yeah, let's go ahead and start talking about the gameplay. And AJ, you kind of hinted towards the map. What's going on with the map and how does it work?
All right, so there's a big Odyssey map with this event. Each map has its own territory, which has a whole bunch of different rewards. You'll be able to preview those and choose which rewards you want to go after before you start any of your quests. Everyone will start with the first territory, Niflheim, based off of the Norse Frost world. That territory will be unlocked for everybody, and they can play through the quests to earn the free rewards. However, to unlock the other regions, you'll have to earn map fragments by purchasing Odyssey skins. Yeah, which you essentially can get through earning Odyssey points, right? The biggest cool thing about this whole update is that you can earn Odyssey points from more things than just buying Odyssey skins. Pretty much participating in any of SMITE skins in anywhere in the updates for the next few months will earn you Odyssey points that you can earn towards your Odyssey progress, which we know that players really like to kind of pick and choose their Odyssey items, and now you have even more power to do that. You can earn the tier 5 by getting less of the actual Odyssey items if you don't want to, and doing other things. Like if you're always buying the battle passes, you're going to be getting Odyssey points from that.
Yes, and if you want a detailed list, you can find that on the update show notes as well.
Yep.
We also took the quests further.
Yeah.
So with each quest and each region has different directions you can go and paths you can take, and they're going to have different difficulty quests, and even areas that we call the corrupted areas that have even more difficult quests, but then better rewards. So there's a lot of room to explore, and it gives you a cool view of the SMITE universe in a sort of focused sense, where instead of exploring the whole world, we have this cool fictional continent we created that has bits of every pantheon represented on it.
It's very based on choice. You as the player making your own choice to go on a voyage that of your choosing. So we really wanted to play that up.
For sure. And the Odyssey, it will kind of work how it did last year. When it goes live, there will be a buy all option that you can do to kind of pre-order all the content, and you'll get it whenever it's available in game. But there's also the individual skins that will be released, and they'll be discounted for a couple weeks after they come out online. So definitely be sure the buy all option is 8,000 gems, and you'll get access to all of the Odyssey content and all of the reward content that's available for that patch, as well as instant access to our Tier 5 Hell skin, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But we've got some other awesome Odyssey skins that we want to talk about. So let's go ahead and kick things off here. Let's start with Winged Death Thanatos. And this one is super cool. Another Winged Death skin. He's like a raven, right, Tina?
Yes, he is. He's really bright and red and just very edgy. He could honestly be brothers with the Tsukiyomi skin that we just saw.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even make that correlation.
Yeah, they're like edgy brothers.
Thanatos is obviously a fantastic god for badass skins. This is the kind of whole category we use to loosely define a lot of these skins that are a little more intimidating. I think this one is a more in line with our kind of living armor idea, which we've used before on gods like Pele and Hercules, but we took it in a different color direction to feel more fitting to Thanatos, and also to have a kind of mentions back to blood magic.
Ooh.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice back to get a little bit more idea what's going on.
No prayer can save you from death's embrace.
Yeah, that's
totes definitely the edge that we're looking for Thanatos skins. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Next up, we've got a skin for Zeus here. I can hear aggro cheering again. But high voltage Zeus, this one is super cool. I had an opportunity to look at the card art earlier today. And this one's kind of futuristic here. He's got kind of some armor that's going on.
This one's more along lines, I think, of the more modern hero type of reinterpretation of the gods, which we've done recently with Toxic Umoja, which is a cool take on a villainous with not crazy sci-fi distant tech, but something that's almost believable, but as if this were a superhero or supervillain in the world right now. And of course, Zeus wielding his power of electricity, it was designed as if with those electricity themes in mind, as opposed to Yemojis.
Yeah, I believe we've got an in-game turnaround that we'll be able to see some more of this armor and stuff that's going on in-game. And oh, that cloud stuff on the bottom, that's super dope. I'm loving the shield texture here.
Very nice. It feels clean and sleek, but still badass.
I like it. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice
Like
pack for High Voltage Zeus.
This much power, it's amazing.
Nice. He's definitely surging through all that power. You can see it flowing in his like exoskeletal armor there, and it's kind of pulsating in his shield. Definitely super awesome, and looking forward to that one. But we've got a skin that we know the community has been looking forward to up next. We've got Mysterious Warrior Mulan, and this one was a talk in the community once Mulan was released. They wanted that disguised version, so we came out and said that we're going to be making one, and it is finally coming, and this is going to be a reward in the Odyssey. So you'll be able to get this skin by accumulating Odyssey points. Tina and AJ, what do you think about this one?
So this one is the modified scarf over the face and the completely different breastplate changes that we did show as a part of a teaser from Mulan before we revealed her true identity. A lot of players resonated very strongly with this depiction of Mulan, and we looked for a place so someone can access this as a free reward, right? We wanted to make sure this skin would be pretty easily accessible to the community. So this one is the first skin reward on the path to the Odyssey, which, probably worth mentioning again. With every Odyssey skin you buy, you're going to get map fragments to open up more quests and more rewards there. You're going to get Odyssey points, which unlock you towards the next rewards, which lead you towards an Odyssey chest with every update where you can get all sorts of amazing skins from all of SMITE history, as well as earning you towards the bigger reward tiers. Like this is the first one where you'll unlock this skin and the Odyssey chest at the same time. So every time you participate in the Odyssey, your rewards just stack up and stack up. This is just the first one along the road to the Hell Tier 5, and I can't wait to show you the other rewards we've got. I love Mulan, but the next one I think is really impressive.
It's the best.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I believe we actually updated the voice pack here, so to kind of hint towards the disguise. So let's go ahead and take a listen.
I'm here to win wars and save my country, and there's nothing about me that's not masculine.
Nice. So this is Mysterious Warrior Mulan coming at you. It's the first reward skin in the Odyssey, but we got another reward skin that we want to talk about, and I know Tina is super excited about this one.
Oh, yes.
Everybody is.
Gladiator Xingqian, and this one is just like, it's so outside the box on what we normally do for Xingqian. So I'll let Tina kind of take it away and talk about these little gecko guys.
Well, this one, so he is like, it's like a bunch of little gecko friends who are basically controlling this like big gecko gladiator body. Yeah. So, and you can see them like poke out of like the different holes, like in his shoulders and in his head and on his side. It's super cute, and it looks great.
Take a look at it and see what it looks like in game.
The 3D model is so impressive.
Yeah, it's really good.
He's so cute.
So good.
We started with an idea of like, how do we make Xingqian cute? And we tried with like covering him more with like colors and bows and ribbons, and it was just feeling kind of strange. So we came up with this idea of this fantasy of these like gecko tribe that lives in the jungle, but they have this like construct that they jump in like a, like superheroes and control to defend their lands against invaders.
Exactly. And I know
Look at how cute they are.
This little guardian thing is probably well insured here. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice pack for Gecko Gladiator Xingqian.
You think you can mess with us? A misstep for you.
He's so good.
It's cute. It's so cute.
This one is super cool. A reward skin in the Odyssey that is coming out in the next update here. We've got another skin that we want to take a look at before we get into Hell. Just one more, guys. Excalibur King Arthur is going to be coming your way, and he is actually going to be a part of this year's Odyssey chest. And this one is a kind of a different take on King Arthur. He's like a mecha knight that's been kind of formed by a futuristic kind of company called Avalon Industries. And this one looks super cool. Look at the ship in his hands. He must be huge.
Avalon
Yeah, sometimes
is-
we like to play with scale in the card art. I assure you, he is normal sized in the game. But yeah, this skin was just a really cool merger of some mech themes as well as some King Arthur themes. I think it does a really good job of differentiating itself from other mechs. It feels really unique. It feels really specific and fits King Arthur just really well. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It looks awesome.
It does.
I'm loving it. Look at the added textures there. You got some nice wings here for flying. I love the way Excalibur looks. Let's go ahead and take a listen to the voice back for Excalibur King Arthur.
In the nanoprinters of Avalon Industries, I wield 3 Excalibur.
Nice. For Camelot, for Avalon, definitely looking forward to getting this one as a part of the Odyssey chest in the next update. But it's time. It's time for the final skin. It's time for Tier 5 Eclipse Summoner Hell. And as we get the card art and in-game turnarounds ready, there's a lot to go over. This one's super in-depth here. AJ, talk to me kind of about how we landed on Eclipse Summoner Hell and kind of where we drew inspiration for this new Tier 5.
Tier 5s are always a challenge, right? There's so much to consider, from theme to tech quality to art quality, and we want just players to be blown away by every one of them. So we always try to push ourselves to come up with something new. Hell is a duality goddess, right? She is about light and dark. She has 2 forms, but she also has opposing themes, right? Good and evil, light and darkness. This skin came from a combination of fantasy elements, cosmic elements, and even some more interesting, like philosophical or almost divine or a geometrical type of patterns. So what we have here is Hell taking the form of a oracle of sorts, someone heavily in tune with the cosmos and the sun and the moon, and she exercises her powers through the use of her summoned guardians. This is something you might see in a lot of different, popular fiction, anime, etc., is that these Hells actually fight alongside their guardians at all times, which honestly, this skin turnaround right here is a little misleading, because this is never how the skin actually looks in the game. The Sun and the Moon Guardian are always paired alongside Hell, fighting with her and being the conduit for her powers. The lighter form, which is more slender, more designed like a mage, meant to be healing and regenerative and restorative, and the moon form, which is more intimidating and violent and uses Hell's dark stance ability to debuff and damage her opponents.
For sure. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at it in game. Pawn is our driver, and I believe we are just about ready to go. I am super excited to show this one off because it's so cool.
So what you're going to get with this skin is you're going to have the Hell skin, where Hell is the light form Hell and dark form Hell, paired with the light form Guardian and the dark form Guardian. So that's really like 4 models up front, or 3 or so, because the Hell shares some similarities. Right. And then all of those upgrade upon leveling up. You're going to see as we go through the demo showing the abilities and stuff that once Hell reaches a certain level, her armor as well as the Guardians, summoned Guardians' body parts and armor are all going to get more extravagant and more powered up when the game progresses.
Yes, I believe it's at level 10, but let's go ahead and start going through some abilities, and we'll start off with the light side here. And as we go through it, Tina, you want to talk to me about kind of the personalities that come with each of the kind of the Guardians and Hell herself, because I know you did a lot of work on the voice back.
Yeah, so the light Hell, she's more of like a little bit reserved, but yet also like full of wisdom, and she also is commanding, like, but in a lighter way, not in a harsh way. And her guardian is more like just obeys her, but also tries to help her and has feelings for her, like, because she is not only her master but also like a friend. And in the dark stance, she is more commanding in a sense that she is like more rough and rugged about it. And the guardian, the dark guardian, is more of a like protector, but also in a mean sense of a way. Like he's, how do you say it? like doesn't let anyone touch her.
Yeah, he's a
but also,
bodyguard.
like, yeah,
Right,
he's like
yeah.
very rough about it, and he's not like kind or nice or sweet.
And as you can see upon playing through the abilities, it was really important to the skin from an animation and effects to represent those personalities that Tina was just talking about. So you can see the characters, the Guardians, are a huge part of her combat. We want them to feel like they're fighting together. Every ability includes a lot of actions from both Hel and her Guardian. When you heal an ally, the Light Guardian actually flies around them for a second. When you throw the Dark Stance damaging orb at opponents, the Moon Guardian actually charges forward and slashes with his sword, right? Like, we really wanted to play up the action of this duality character that not only has two differing forms, but also represents duality by showing two characters fighting together, like in perfect harmony.
Yeah, they work together very well, and they talk to each other too. They communicate.
So there's the
with each
upgrade where you can see the Moon Guardian added a lot of additional emissives and those extra moon symbols to his armor, as well as Hel's headdress and these glowing glyphs that float off of them. And the Sun Stance has just as many upgrades.
Loving the idol variants and all the like small interactions between Hel and her Guardian.
Definitely, yeah. She has a bunch of new idols to play when you're in the game. You can see her interacting with her Guardians in different ways. Of course, the light one is a little bit more fun, and the Moon Dark one is a little bit more intimidating.
This one turned out so good. AJ, talk to me a little bit about like some of the technical challenges, because I know our effects and rigging and the entire team. In order to have a Guardian and an actual character kind of in the game space at the same time, I know it took a ton of work, right?
Yes, especially for the animation team and the technical art team, and even the gameplay programming and engineering team. Getting these characters to simultaneously work together is really difficult and brings a lot of challenges. You have to make sure your animations never get desynced, or you have to make sure they can't, separate, or if you treat them as just one actual character, that has a whole bunch of different complications with it. So it's about finding the sweet spot in between all those things, as well as getting them to spawn in and animate and do all these different things as part of all the abilities. This is a really big technical art challenge in a lot of ways. A lot of things can go wrong when we do things like that, and it's something that we just really tried to turn up to 11 on this skin, more so than anything you've ever really seen in Smite, with this detail of characters being part of the abilities and for fighting two characters side by side together.
Most definitely, and it's Punk showing off new taunts and waves and claps, and you've got separate animation for the sun and the moon, and we've got a VXG to show off here too. Oh, I love that taunt where he's kind of showing the shore and saying, "Hey, you don't mess with my my summoner here." This one turned out super awesome. And here we go. We've got the VXG. Hel can walk around, and she's got both of them, and it's super symbolic of being quick, right? The rotations and the orbit on them.
So you can show off both your Guardians. You really want to swag out.
This one turned out super awesome. I believe, let's go ahead and try and listen to some of the voice act lines that we were talking about. If you want to go through some GPS before we close it out here.
The light of the sun guides me. Darkness should not be your path, as it will be your end. Come back to the light before it is too late. Law has spoken. Do what must be done.
As you command.
Get rid of them! I don't care what you do!
It will be done.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Pon.
It's really about kind of creating this system where this priestess is fighting with her guardians, right? A lot of her power comes through them. So if you notice the animation team, they did a specific amount where her basic attacks come from Hel, but all of the abilities require the guardians. And this is a type of, as Isaiah, my anime fan, I know you're familiar with this concept of characters fighting alongside these very interesting guardians or summoned or spirits, and we wanted to really play that up as much as we could.
For sure. I definitely saw a lot of specific anime references floating around after we teased this card art
Yeah.
on social
Yeah.
media. But we're super
For
excited
sure.
about Eclipse Summoner Hell. We're super excited for you guys to get a chance for at our newest tier 5. I believe PTS is targeted for Friday, so be sure to keep an eye out on Smite Games social media channels. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching the show. Thanks so much. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time on our next update show.
Thanks.
I can't find myself.